Are we live? Yeah. It's not showing the video at all for me. 10 seconds. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the whole discussion. I apologize. I did not get the little bumper trailer going up there. Welcome. I am Josh Baysinger of Baysinger's Disc Golf Channel. I've got my lovely lady Amanda behind the scenes here helping us with switching stuff over. And then over here to this side, I've got Mr. Joshua Delp from, you want to say it?
Daddy Delp Disc Golf. I thought you were going to introduce me as your lovely lady a minute ago.
Well, not quite. My lovely friend Josh Delp there. So as we were getting some people tuned in, looks like we've already got 4. Let me unmute. It's showing the video for me right now, so that's okay. All right, we're back. Sorry about that, everyone.
I was just saying I couldn't hear you at all.
Are we good now?
I can hear you now.
Sorry about that. Okay, we've got 4 people tuned in right now. 5 it just switched up to. This whole discussion is for the back 9 of Winged Deer Park. I know it's been a few weeks. We didn't go live on Christmas, but we were live on Josh's channel last week, so make sure you check that out. We've got a giveaway that we're about to get to here in just a little bit, and I guess that's pretty much it. I guess we could go ahead and start with the giveaway. Do you want to go ahead and do that, Josh?
Yeah, that's fine with me. So you want me to announce mine first?
Yeah, sure. So if you all don't know, this was on Daddy Delp's channel, and we will have a giveaway at the end of this video. At the end of this live broadcast, we're going to do another giveaway here, and we will announce the winners next week on Josh's podcast at the same time. So, Josh, go ahead and give them a comment that you chose for this Cosmic Pekka Pekka. All
right. So there was a lot of good comments. We've been getting a lot of good comments over on the podcast, both podcasts, honestly. I chose one. I thought it was a really interesting one. I'll go ahead and just say that the name is Big Will Brewing Company. So if this is you, please get in contact with me or Baysinger. Either way, as long as you can get in contact with one of us over Facebook or Instagram, whatever it is, get on there and follow us and then message. But Big Will Brewing Company, he said his cardmate, or he or she, I don't know, the card mates would be their buddy Bill Nance, who started his journey for him and helped him start their disc golf course. Trees in Chains, we find them all, Stevie Ray Vaughan, because I wish I could play as good as he did. His favorite football player of all time in the VFL, Jason Witten, and the head brewer at Alchemist, so he can pick their brain and improve their beer. And lastly, his wife, because she had stuck through by him through his 26 years in the military journey. And then the course would be Krakow Disc Golf Course, and I'm not going to say this correctly. Sigurd, Norway, because who wouldn't want to play in Norway? I agree. That would be sweet. And also, thank you for your service. 26 years in the military is awesome, and I appreciate it. So that's my winner, Big Will Brewing Company.
You have won this Cosmic Pekka Pekka. Yeah, sweet. And so for mine, I'm putting up this Cosmic Kotaku mid-range from RPM. And my comment that I chose on there was Brian Gosnell 9521. So his comment said that he would want to play with Jack Black, second that for sure, Joey Diaz, Billy Springs, and Duncan Tressel. So looks like he's a fan of comedy for sure.
Yeah.
pretty much the reason I chose this one is because he said he's been. He said they wanted to play at Idlewild is where he would like to play. So, he said that he has been subscribed to me for a while now, and now he's subscribed to Daddy Delp Disc Golf for as well. So that's kind of what we're trying to do with this podcast, is to get some of my viewers over on Daddy Delp Disc Golf and get some of Delp's viewers over on mine. So Brian Gosnell, this is your Coach Coo. Please contact me, Facebook, YouTube, email, baysingersdiscgolfchannel at gmail.com, and then Big Wheel Brewing, contact Josh for your Pekka. So now, before we go into the discussion, I will just say real quick, stick around to the end of the podcast, and we're going to be giving away 2 more discs. We're not going to get too much into that right now because we want to get to the whole discussion. But that's it. Without further ado, Josh, unless you have anything, we can go ahead and get with the whole discussion.
Just thanks for tuning in, if you're tuning in. And also, hey, you've got a shirt for this podcast and some merch and stuff. And
I do. I will throw that up in just a second. I saw here Felix from Ace Run Pro is here in the comments. So,
what up?
Can you throw that comment up there for me? I'll try to throw it up. Once again, I apologize. We're having a little bit of technical difficulties in our end. So, Felix, what's up, man? You guys are an amazing crew. So, thank you guys for everything you all do for disc golf. Let's see here. So, I'm going to get to the brand. My computer's acting a little bit slow, so bear with me as I get to this. But just like Josh said, we have a couple shirts here for you that I'm going to try and show. First of all, let me know when it goes up there, because it's slow on my end. But we have the whole discussion shirt, as you can see. We have this one here, and then we also have the all over print whole discussion shirt that's showing right there. And then just for funsies here, we've got this Miss the Putt shirt there. So that's a little fun shout out to some of the viewers who's in there. And on the back of that one, it shows this the whole discussion logo there. So that is pretty much it. And I guess we can go ahead and get started talking about the back 9 at Winged Deer Park disc golf course in Johnson City, Tennessee. So is that it? You got any other shout outs, Josh, before we get in there?
No, that's all I got. I did see that commented on the humming noise in the background. So last week it was you. This week it's me. I muted myself a second ago. Just started smacking the computer to try to see if it would stop. Sorry. Hopefully it ain't too bad.
Yeah, we'll eventually get this wrong. I mean, we're still fairly new at this podcasting thing, so we'll get there. But so Winged Deer Park. I'm not going to show too many thumbnails because I want to go ahead and get to the whole discussion. If you haven't seen whole discussion episode number 2, we talked about the front 9 gray baskets, and this is going to be Josh and I talking about the back 9 gray baskets. And I'm going to try and bring the thumbnail up for hole number 10 here. I'm getting a little bit of lag. Did I mess up there? Okay. I'm getting a little bit of lag on my end, so I'm not seeing stuff come up. Does it have the picture up now?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm just now seeing the whole discussion shirt. That's how much my lag is.
Oh, wow, yeah. Oh,
yeah.
Oh, Staley was commenting, talking about your shoulder was nice.
My shoulder,
your shoulder was nice behind the T-shirt.
Oh.
Oh,
thanks. Wrong shoulder, unfortunately. So as you can see here, hole number 10 at Winged Deer Park disc golf course is 209 feet to the gray basket. This is a tunnel shot right off the bat. This one right here, like I said, a 209-foot par 3. Josh, you'll have to help me out with this, and if I'm not mistaken, the gray basket is to the right on this one, correct?
Yeah, that is correct. So basically, if you look at that tree that's just to the left in the middle of the gap, if you get to it, you need to be going right at that point, or unless you throw like a super high shot, that tree will get in your way. So it does push to the right, and it's probably, I would call it like somewhere around 80 or so feet short of the long basket. So it is a very forehand, easy shot for a righty generally, or not easy, but it is a forehand shot. But
agree. Me being the lefty, I feel like on this one, probably what I'm going to do is like a hyzer flip, probably with an understable driver or an understable fairway driver. Probably either a Pekka or maybe even like a Kahoo XG or something if I'm really trying to be aggressive. But for this hole, for me, I really like the hole, but it almost feels impossible for me to get to the basket on this one. Now that obviously is just my arm, but this hole plays to me quite a bit further than 209. What do you think, Josh?
I think it does play probably, it feels closer to like a 230 or something like that, because it is slightly uphill too. It's not super noticeable, but you are lower at the tee than you are at the basket. So, and that low ceiling right there, it's not crazy low, but once you get to that one tree I was talking about, it hangs over. So you can't really throw a high shot to really get there unless you try like a gigantically high shot.
Right.
And that's not everybody's game, especially when you're throwing a forehand. But I usually have to, I've had some success with stuff like a Kia Speed, but I think it's just as safe to throw something that would be like a Huya or a Firebird, something like that you can just hit on forehand and just let it go right once you get that like initial 130 feet off the tee.
Right. And I think personally for me, the main play on this hole is make sure you hit that gap, because if you're anywhere in that left side or anywhere in that right side, it is horrible. I've seen like a lot of those situations in there are literally just tossed out to the middle. It's almost an instant lost stroke if you get into the woods on either the right or left.
Yeah, it really is. I've actually had it happen to me a few times in tournaments. It's just that initial gap's super small, and it used to be a lot worse too.
Yeah.
Because they had there was two trees in the middle of that gap, so when it was like that, I wasn't really a fan of that hole at all, because the gap was like 5. It felt like 5 to like 8 feet on each side of that tree.
Yeah,
it was dead center.
Right. So this one, I don't mean to. I hate to sound bad, but I'm not trying to rush along, but I really just don't know much more we could even really say about this whole. Well, maybe I guess we could mention that there is kind of like, after you do get out of the gap at the end there are some trees with some low hanging branches there. So if you do get out and don't skip under those, like I remember last time we played it, like I had to take a knee to even get a putt, and you got to kind of almost putt down when you're on your knee there. So it can be a really weird situation, but as long as you get that skip, like you were saying, with that forehand, like your Kiwi or something, Huya, you could definitely get down there and get a putt for sure.
Yeah, you definitely want to try to get as close to that tree line as you can, because like you said, those trees are literally, if you're walking up to them, you're going to hit your head on a branch trying to get over to the basket. They're really bushy too, so you're not very unlikely you're going to get through them if your disc hits it. I've had to play the little throw my putter 20 feet short of the basket and just try to see if it'll skip to the basket before from the side. And to keep a note too, that basket actually sits on a slightly downhill slope too. So if you accidentally pitch your putter at the base of the tree and hit the root or something, you have a chance at it picking up and rolling about 30 or 40 feet. Like,
very true. Yeah.
So it's not like the biggest hill, but there is a rollaway factor on that, and it's really easy to mess up that part.
Right. And I actually thought of that while you were talking. I was like, oh, it is actually on a hill, and it's pretty close to that tree line on the backside there too. So If you go too long, then you could end up in the woods, which are almost just maybe not quite as thick, but almost as quick as or as thick as the stuff on the left and right side of the short part of it.
If you don't get out that main gap, it's going to be really hard to get a par.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's definitely the issue with this hole is if you don't get out. It's a small gap, like you said. It has been widened up, but it's still a tricky gap. We've got 17 people here watching. That's really cool.
Man, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome. Please leave some comments. Felix said they've been doing their quarterly podcast for 3 years, and we still don't know what we were doing. It's funny. I've watched their podcast several times. I really like their podcast. So do you have any other discussion besides our thumbs up, thumbs down situation for this hole?
I mean, there's not a whole lot else to that hole. I mean, it's pretty short, and there's very limited things you can do on it. Like for righty, me stepping up, like unless you just don't have a forehand and you just want to throw a straight shot and just play the pitch over for a par, I think a forehand is going to be the way you're going to get the 2 on that hole. So, I mean, pretty straightforward. Whatever your go right forehand disc is, or you don't turn it over, that's the key on that hole. But I don't see too many people actually counting on that hole as being like a birdie hole. I honestly think the long hole is a more like 2 that you really want to try to get. It's not like a have to, but I feel like it's a more accessible 2 to get.
Right. I think this would probably be one of the weird holes where the longer pin would be easier to than the short. It's kind of odd. It kind of almost reminds me of like hole, okay, let me get there in my head. Hole 14 at Frank Loreno, where the short pin is technically it's like flip that hole around the opposite way.
The one they actually
the downhill though.
Yeah, they actually like got the T sign wrong or something like that, and they actually had to change them. I think is what it was.
Maybe, yeah.
I can't remember.
But it's the one that's like the blue pin is just straight right out in the middle, and I can do that one. That's the longer one. The longer one, at least they say it is. Yeah. But then the other one's just hooked so far in there that it's harder to do, in my opinion.
I feel like that's what I was told at one point for that course, was that the one that the blue's in right now was originally supposed to be the yellow, because that was the OG position, and when they put the blue in, the T sign came back with the baskets switched. So so just to make it match, they just switched the baskets instead of getting a whole new T sign. I feel like that's what I was told by some Morristown people, so I don't know. I could be wrong, but I feel like that's what I was told, so that would have made sense. Yeah.
I just feel like it's like that's kind of like the mirror image of this hole.
It really kind of is, yeah.
Basically. I mean, not necessarily the uphill, downhill aspect, because that one's downhill, but just the way it plays, personally.
Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate.
So, hole 10, Gray. I'm going to give it a thumbs up. It's difficult. It's not a gimme. I think it's a good hole.
I'm going to go kind of like middle ground. I neither really like it or really dislike it.
It's just another.
I'll play it and move on.
I feel you on that one. Speaking of moving on, perfect segue, Josh. I guess we can go ahead and move on to hole number 11. I've got the distance at 230 feet here. Once again, another par 3. I'll go ahead and say it. All these are par 3s on this back 9 here, except for maybe hole 17 or 16. We'll see when we get there. But yeah, so hole 17, hole 11 here is 230 feet. As you can see, there's a little ravine kind of that you're throwing down, and then the basket's actually pretty much flat from where you are there. So if you can see the kind of the shelf that you're on there, the basket's on that same shelf, and you're throwing over this little ravine here. This, I personally would probably call this one more of a lefty hole than I would a righty hole, simply because the lefty can throw just a straight shot and let it hyzer out right in that tree. If you can see the small tree right at the top of the ravine there. So the basket's kind of right behind that little small tree there. That is the gray one on this one, correct, Josh?
Yeah, it's basically just straight ahead. You've got one like bushy tree in the way, basically,
Right.
of that shot.
And that's kind of why I say this one's maybe more lefty friendly than righty friendly, just simply because you can throw straight and then just that fade is going towards it, where the righty shot is going to be almost fading away from it, if that makes sense, and putting you behind that tree.
Yeah, back in the day when I actually threw forehands a lot, I threw a forehand at this one all the time, and it is kind of like flat with you, but at the same time, the basket I still think sits a little bit higher than what you are, so you can throw a little bit faster of a disc than what you need. But you just don't want to go too deep on this one because the woods do come in pretty quick behind the basket. I think it's inside the circle, like maybe 25 feet away. If you go too deep, you'll be in the woods and probably have a bad putt.
Right, yeah. I agree. This is one of the ones where it's at that weird distance where used to I feel like I could throw almost a hyzer and just kind of get there. And then I guess where I've lost some distance over time, I have to play more of a flex shot now to try and attempt the 2 on that one.
Oh, okay.
And that's
that.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, you're good. I was going to say I actually do kind of like a flex shot at it now with a backhand instead of a forehand. Because basically that tree that's in the way, if I get to that tree, I'm basically in the circle.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I just plan to throw a backhand. Like, I go either a mid. I usually do just go mid because I can get a mid there. And if I hit that tree, I've got a putt. And if I go under the tree, I'll probably be parked. So, it's more so like I go like a neutral mid, something like I've thrown a hex at it before, and I could throw a P-Waka or something like that, and just have it flip up and just go straight and barely turn right for a while.
Right. Jeffrey's asking here, Coach Kia, then, are there any obstructions on the green? There is the one tree that is kind of behind, and Josh can maybe follow up with this part that I'm about to say, but I almost feel like a good play on this hole would it be to just throw it right at that cedar tree and let it hit it and crash down. Then you've got an inside the circle putt. It might be from your knee, but I mean, you're still going to be. It's probably 20 feet from the basket.
It's not far.
It might not be that.
Yeah, and I mean, you can putt from what I can remember. You can pretty much have a decent putt if you're under it. It's not too awful. Might not be ideal, but is it just 250?
It said 230 on UDisc. Now, UDisc distances can sometimes be a little off just because it's the 12 or so feet. But I'm like you. I feel like this one plays way further than 230.
Yeah, I feel like it was in that 300 range, I thought. That's why I was like, because maybe I can get a putter there. I don't know. I don't ever try it. I just try to blast a mid up there because I think I throw a mid on the short and the long basket to this one. I try to throw basically the same shot almost, just one that's just a little bit more stable on the short pin.
Okay, yeah. Ace Run Productions here comment has said, is there drone footage anywhere of this course? There's not drone footage per se, but there is like myself and Tim Barr walked the course for the 2017 USW DGC. So if you look up the 2017 USW DGC, it's on the Prodigy channel. We walked and did like basically with a camera and a little gimbal situation. So there is a way to see it. And it's funny. It's actually, I wish he'd have asked that on hole 10 because I remember on hole 10, if you look at this course on the Prodigy channel, you can see me and Tim Barr standing there. I take that back. It was Marty that did it. Me and Tim was walking with Marty and helping set stuff up. But you remember Marty McFly So High that used to film for Prodigy?
Oh, yeah.
So Marty did that footage for the Prodigy channel.
Oh,
And
okay.
you can see me and Tim on hole 10s there. We're standing near the basket there, so that's kind of
I
funny.
think I do remember that.
Yeah. Let's see. Trying to remember if this was covered during Masters Worlds in 2021.
Did they play there?
They played Harmon.
And they played
Yeah, because
Warriors.
H-Run filmed it. Harmon, was it the
Did they play?
Warriors?
Well, I know they had a distance contest or something at Warriors, at that soccer field or something. I don't know if they played it or not. I feel like they did like a distance contest or something there.
I want to say they did Sugar Hollow and Harmon. I could be incorrect, but I think that's the two. You sound like you're on the Bristol Motor Speedway right now.
I'm pinching this thing, trying to see if it'll stop. Here,
Funny.
when I'm not talking, I'll just mute myself.
No, you're good, man. That's no big deal. I think people understand computer issues there. But speaking of Bristol, I guess we'll go ahead and say, go ahead and tell the viewers here that I was lucky enough to get a round in yesterday, a couple of rounds in with my good buddy Josh Delp here. So we got some coverage coming on both of our channels, hopefully this coming week, of playing a course in Bristol and then a course in Johnson City. So it was fun.
It was fun. I want to get some more courses in. It was pretty fun. I enjoyed that yesterday.
Yeah, that was definitely fun.
It'd been a long time that not playing a tournament that I'd played more than one course in a day. I've not done that in a very long time.
Okay. Jed Ward is saying they did FPO was filmed out there first round. Okay. So that should answer that question as far as the drone footage there. So kind of back to the whole, we're really good at sidetracking there, but I want to say that this nothing special about this hole. I don't want to say anything bad about it. I honestly prefer, which we didn't do this on hole 10, but on hole 11 here, I prefer the longer pin on this one. The one that's up that little hill just a little bit. That's my rabbit. Sorry about that.
I was about to say, is that your rabbit thumping?
Yeah, he's thumping. Could you calm down? His name is Dexter. Which is a great segue into this. Josh, you're going to need one of these. You see this?
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like kind of the Dexter themed Baysinger's Disc Golf Channel.
Yeah. I just have this one.
That's fine. You can get these on Teespring.
Dude, was you drinking?
But anyway,
are you drinking the slime from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
Yes, I'm going to mutate later today, and I will be Raphael. So don't even try.
All right, Donatello.
Jeffrey said his name was Now Thumper. We do have two bunny rabbits, Dexter and Deborah. There he goes again. Thanks, guys.
Mine are in the room next to me. Yeah, we both got rabbits.
Yeah, no, we're weird. We're both Joshua Aaron, and we both have rabbits.
Yeah,
it's weird.
He even calls bunnies.
Like we're the same.
It's like we're the same. Yeah, he even calls bunnies Bun.
You're basically the younger Virginia version of me. That's all you are.
Yeah, pretty much.
Just saying.
We both play music too.
Let's see. Brent, Josh just gave everyone in the chat $100 gift cards to Infinite Discs. Sorry you missed it. Wow. Brent, yell at me, boy. I'm joking. All right, so back to hole 10 before we ramble for 6 hours.
No, listen, that's scary, though, because we're both named Josh. So I was like, did I accidentally hit a button?
That's funny.
I saw a dollar sign down there on the bottom of the chat, so I was like, did I accidentally click that and do something? I'm in trouble. I'm in trouble.
Looks like Daddy Delp Disc Golf has donated $2,000. Thank you. What a kind soul.
Yeah, instead of getting a new computer.
I don't really have anything else to say about this hole. This is kind of going to be one for me that I'm going to do the kind of, it's like you said for hole 10. It's there. It's definitely not going to be one of my favorites on this course. it is a good hole. Anything on this course that I'm talking about, I think this is an outstanding course. So I feel like anything that I say negative about this course is just honestly being nitpicky, because it's a good course for sure. There are some parts that are not my favorite parts of courses in the area, but this is kind of one of those holes that, for me, like you said, that's like, it's okay, but it's not going to make my favorites for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I like the hole in general. I don't know which one I would prefer, but I think it's a cool hole. Like, I'm fine with it. I'll give this one a thumbs up. I like it a little bit better than the last hole, but yeah, I don't know which one I prefer though. Out of the long and the short, that one's hard for me to stay.
I think the reason, and I know we don't like to get into the other pins too much because we'll eventually get to that, but I think the reason that I like the other one better is because it's more position golf rather than what this short one is. Like I said, the short one, you can kind of blast into that tree and have a putt inside the circle. But the longer one, like, you have to play for your position. You can't just blast into the tree, because then you're going to have an upshot up the hill. It's going to be very tricky.
Yeah, I mean, the long one is a tricky shot. There's not much you can do for it. So I mean, I can understand that. You gotta be smart on that one.
Agreed. All right. Well, that being said, I guess we can go ahead and move on to hole number 12. This one I have at, looks like maybe we lost Delp. Is he still on here?
Can you hear me?
Oh, there you go. Okay, yeah, there we go. Sorry about that. Buddy's going crazy again. So hole 12 is 259 feet, it says. This one is a tricky hole. I honestly, if I'm not mistaken, Josh, you can correct me, but I think the gray pin is the long one in this case. Correct?
That is correct. It is a very interesting shot, I'll tell you that.
Agreed. Yeah. So this one, for the viewers watching here, so if you see the tree that's right in the middle, just where you start to see the dirt area, and then there's like 3 trees behind it, you want to go past those in the short basket, which is not the one we're talking about today, but it's on a hill going down there. And the gray basket is the long one on this one. It's down in a completely open field. So this one, I think, also was more of a position shot. You definitely have to hit your line on this one, because it's another one of those where it can be very thick on the left and right side.
Yeah, definitely some tricky stuff. It's funny, this hole, one thing about it is the perfect tee shot for the gray basket is basically trying to ace the white basket.
I agree, yeah.
I've came really close. I throw a putter on this hole. It's not it's downhill, like the tee. Once you throw your shot, it like initially drops off like 5 feet or something like that. Yep. Straight into the fairway, which makes that hole, that's one of the challenges of it, is that the fairway itself, if you're down on it, has a decent enough ceiling, but you're teeing off just slightly above that, so then you have to kind of throw down. But I have seen people throw shots before into the left, and they kick out into the field out to the left, and then they've thrown like 4 hands or something and got up and down for a 2 or 4. What the heck am I saying? 3. any number but the number I'm trying to say. Gotten up and down for a 3. But if you kick to the right, you're in the jail no matter what. The left is thick, but it does end at some point into an open field.
Right, yeah. There are definitely some gaps on the left side. I think there's probably, like, I feel like there's a gap just after the initial drop-off, and then there's some wooded area, and then there's another gap, if I'm not mistaken, before it gets to that kind of wall there.
Yeah, I think that's right, and I don't know if that's just been from, like, people walking through or what, because it's right on the edge of that area of where the softball fields are in that open place, because there's a walking path that goes behind that basket too, the gray one out there. So I think people sometimes walk through that area and just kind of venture. But yeah, this is a weird one because I actually think like I said, the perfect shot, if you throw it absolutely perfect, there's a chance you're going to black ace like who was it?
Yeah, like Brent
did. Brent. Yeah, I mean, the perfect shot is going to black ace or almost hit the basket. So it's in the way, honestly.
I agree. Yeah. I 100% agree with that. And I also feel like this was a weird one because it says 259.
Oh,
it feels shorter than that to me. Does that feel shorter?
Feels shorter to you? I feel like it plays closer. It doesn't play that long. I think it's actually longer, though, because of that 5 feet that you get downhill. Because you got to think, too, you throw off the tee, it drops 5 feet. Once you get to the white basket, it drops probably 10 feet.
Okay. Yeah,
because that field drops off. So if you actually lace the gap, because I've parked, me and Matt in one of the tournaments we played this year, both threw putters off the tee, and we both parked it magically. I don't know how we got through that gap and got to the gray basket, but we both parked it, and I think we were the only 2-2s at the turn or that day or something on the gray baskets in our division or something, because it is such a you can throw the perfect shot and hit something right at the white baskets.
Yeah.
And get dropped down, and then you're 50 feet or so still away. So I mean,
I think there's a couple areas on this course that are similar to that. You know what I mean? As far as the different baskets being in the way. I just want to shout out this comment here. Ace Run says he's watching. I'm guessing it's Felix still, but it says he's watching the coverage of the women as we talk about the holes. This is fun. So that's cool. Anybody else that's watching, throw up another tab and throw up the Ace Run coverage while you talk to us, and then you can see what we're talking about here. So that's awesome, Ace Run. That's so awesome to have you guys in here.
Yeah, it is. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah. And if y'all ever want to come on and talk about stuff with us, hey, we're down, right, Josh?
Yeah, we'll try to leave.
Down.
We'll try to leave our leaf blowers and weed eaters off if we can. But I mean, last week it was Texas Chainsaw Massacre. This week I'm mowing the lawn at the current time, but we'll try to make time if we can.
But yeah, this one to me, I think if I'm not mistaken, last time I played here, I think I threw a 2E or maybe a P-walk would be my guess on this. So the point of this hole to me is just straight, just throw something that's going to go fairly straight. But the reason I say I feel like this one plays shorter is because in my head I'm thinking 2E or P-walk, and then I feel like you don't even really need that much more distance after you get past the white basket because of the drop off. You know what I mean? I feel like if you can get pin high, like to me, I think if I can get pin high with a putter mid or whatever that's going to glide, I feel like I can actually get down to that basket. And I personally don't feel like I have the arm to get to that distance. And that's why I say that I feel like this one plays a little shorter. I don't play this one that often, so maybe I'm incorrect in that assessment, but
no, I mean,
see what I mean?
That's accurate. That's why I was saying I think it's as long as it says, or maybe even a touch longer, but you don't need that much distance because you get that drop off. I've seen people skip off the ground at the white basket and walk up and be like 20 deep of the basket because you get you get that distance, and plus the skip off of it just kind of shoots it back up a little bit.
Okay, yeah.
I've seen people go long doing that, but as long as like you said, if you're in the air at the basket, there's a good chance if you don't hit anything, you will go deep, unless it's like a putter or something. But I mean, it's a really fine line of gap, and once you get back through there, it just gets really small, and the ceiling's so low that you can't throw that much further than the basket, unless it's like a driver. And I mean, you don't need to. It's just not. It's unnecessary. You can throw a putter or a mid on that hole and do just fine.
Right, I agree. 100% agree. Even that I personally have problems with even trying to get a putter at some of these holes like that, and even I feel like I'm good with a putter on this one. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think last time I played this course, I don't know that I was on RPM's team yet, but I think I was throwing like one of my beat up, like envies, maybe the baseline envies. I can't remember. Either that or a proxy, maybe something like that. And just something that I can throw on hyzer and let it flip up and just go straight. That's all I wanted. I've seen forehands work on it too. There's a little a gap on the left side, kind of, that if you flex something over a little bit and control it from going too far left, it'll go around like the first initial trees. Then the next thing you got to worry about is hitting the trees near the white basket. So I mean, that's what most people are worried about. So
true, yeah. I'm going to go ahead and say I'm going to circle this right now, just thinking of it. I want to say this is so far my favorite hole that we've talked about, simply because it's one of those where it's like you look at it and you pretty much know exactly right off the bat what you're going to do, and it's just a matter of executing. And it can be a 2 on the short, it can be a 2 on the long. Like I said, we're talking about the long one here, but this is one of my favorite ones, and it's like it forces you to hit the line, and if you don't hit your line, then it can get tricky really quick.
I'm going to say, now it's going to sound like I don't like this hole that much, but I'm going to go like middle ground with it, but it's because I really do like the first initial like 200 feet of the hole. I don't like the fact that the best shot on the hole is gonna hit the short basket. If this was a course that didn't always have 2 baskets in ground, there wouldn't really be much of an issue. But where there's always 2 baskets in the ground, it's essentially like putting a bush in the middle of a fairway to get to a basket, and not having a fairway there. So I would either like them for the gray basket to either have a separate fairway just to the left or the right. That would be the gap that you're aiming for to get to the gray basket, or the white basket pulled whenever you're playing the gray basket or something like that. I know that they do it just so you have multiple layouts. That's me nitpicking, is why I would be not saying it's like an amazing, like if there was just a gap there always, the basket's basically the problem.
Right. No, I get that. I get that, and I didn't honestly even think about that before. And I think that's probably just because last time we played it, I think we played the short one last time, so I didn't. That wasn't fresh on my mind. But that's the same exact argument I have for one of the holes at Franklin Reno, hole 16. So the yellow basket is exactly where the pro level players want to land to attack the blue basket.
The one that's straight uphill?
Yes. Yeah, that's it. So I can kind of see that. So that kind of actually does change my opinion of it just a little bit. I do still like the hole, but I agree that's pretty unfortunate that's right there.
I mean, like I said, there's not much you can do about it, and that's one of the reasons too. Like Charlie has told me before, like I've talked about where I'm putting multiple positions in here at the ridge, and he's like, just move baskets. He said, don't put other baskets in unless it's going to be using a completely different fairway. He's like, I hate playing a course to where you're playing in a tournament or something like that, and one of the obstacles you have to deal with is throwing from under a basket or something, because relief is kind of one of those gray areas with people. Sometimes there's rules about it and stuff, but sometimes it's just like, hey, if you can get your foot under the disc without getting hurt, if you can manage to throw some way, like you're technically supposed to throw from there. So it can make it to where like a good drive, you might have to throw a step out forehand because you can throw a shot from there without getting injured.
True.
But, so, I mean, it's one of those things, is like I said, if it was just like it had its own fairway over to the side or something like that, it would be completely fine. It's just, that's the only thing that annoys me about it.
I understand. I definitely understand that. So, thumbs up for me and little hatskis for you.
I'm going mid, and you can see my pencil in my thumb.
All right. that's all I've got for this hole. So with that, we will move on to hole number 13, which is 276 feet, according to UDisc. So this one also a par 3. Shout out right off the bat to Mr. Alex Ferguson you see here on the tee. If y'all don't know Alex Ferguson, go check out his channel, Alex Ferguson Disc Golf. And the kid is an absolute crusher. So don't want to branch too far off. But yeah, hole 13 here, 276 feet. Now, this is one of the holes that, Josh, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but this is one of the holes that has changed over time.
Oh, yeah.
So this, and I do actually have a picture of the old tee here, but we're not going to get into that just yet. We'll discuss the hole, and before we move on to hole 14, then I'll switch over and show this one, or the old tee. So this is another one of those holes. This one might automatically, I don't think this has happened on the whole discussion yet, but this might automatically knock out hole 12, and this one might be my favorite now.
This hole?
Yes. I really like hole 13 here. I see like you might have a difference in opinion there.
Well,
so for the go ahead.
It's just I don't know. I will say this. I knew this hole was different. I had never played this course until after 2017 women's. Was it Worlds? Is that what you said?
It was 27 USWDGC. That's what I
there. USWDGC, not Worlds. I hadn't played. I watched the coverage of that, and were talking about they cut a new fairway for this hole just for that tournament or something.
Right, yeah.
To get prepared. So I had never been there before that, so I had no idea. So I'll be interested to even see what this tee looks like, the original.
I'll definitely show you that in a second. And after you see that, you will have a new respect for this hole here. So.
Oh, I mean, I've heard it was rough.
So for the people who are tuning in and watching and want to discuss this hole with us, it's 276. So you can see it's a slanting fairway going left to right downhill the entire way until you get up to you can see that really thin little tree there off in the distance where it's going uphill there. So you go over that ridge right there, and then it kind of drops off and the basket's down over to the right, almost to where you would see the green stuff stopping over here on the right side or where that big pine tree is right there. It'd be just to the right of that where that green stuff is there. So this one is, for me, I'm going distance driver on this one or fairway driver, something understable that I'm going to hyzer flip basically right at that smallest tree or the most left tree on the right side, if that makes sense. But I'm hyzering almost towards that and letting it flip up right there and then push up the hill, and then hopefully I can get a little bit more fade. Kind of my play on this one's almost to just hit that hill right there and just kind of get because you're going to get that forward skip up. And for me personally, as a lefty, it's going to fade towards the right, towards the basket. So this is definitely one of my favorite holes. I'm going to go ahead and replace hole 12 or hole 13 here. Now I'm going to say is currently my favorite hole on the back nine so far.
Now, this one, now the gray is the long basket on this one too. So was you playing to that basket?
That's down to the left, right?
Yes. Well, it's to the right and the left.
So you go right and then back left. Okay, so let me throw this picture up here again and show people, because you're exactly right.
You were going to the white basket.
I was going to the white basket. So keep in mind what I said about, is the picture up there?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So it's so you go through the gap there, as you see, and then once it goes uphill, the fairway goes to the right there, like I was saying, and the short basket, which is not the one we're talking about, is down to the right after a downhill slope. Now, the basket we're playing on this would pretty much, I would almost say, dead straight off the tee, but you have to go right and then back left and downhill to get to it. When you say it's almost almost straight, maybe even a little.
The way I would describe this hole is if you took a straight line, you cut it in half, and then shifted the top part of the straight line to the right, and then reconnected the lines. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's a straight shot, goes right, and then straightens back out. It's a really weird shape, and that's why when you said this is your favorite hole, I went, aha, oh.
Okay. So, let's go ahead and, I mean, still, to me, this is a position hole for a lefty.
It's a position hole for everybody, I think.
Probably for everybody. Yeah, I would almost argue, this says 276. I would almost argue this one could be a par 4.
They do play it as a par 4 in tournaments, and that's one of the things I don't like about it sometimes. Because how long is it? You said 3.
It says 276.
Like it's literally maybe. I mean, it's literally probably only like maybe 300 feet. That's one of the reasons I'm not a big fan of it. I don't know that. I'm pretty sure we played it in as a par 4, and there was no 3s in the tournaments that I've played on it.
Okay.
Because it's such a strange line, like to actually be able to execute. I think like the only possible line that a righty can throw would be a backhand. It's almost like a shot that almost can't exist. I feel like unless you have like maybe a big arm or something. It's like something that's maybe forced over, that's overstable enough to hold it, and is slow, and then flexes out after you've thrown it through that gap and with enough power, because you can't throw it high. So I don't know. It's a weird gap because I have to throw a forehand, and my best forehands are usually getting like 25 feet. I can maybe park it or something, but like what happens a lot is where that it kind of goes up, crests, kind of comes back down, levels out, and then the gray basket drops back off to the left. Not very far from the white basket. It just drops back off. And then you have those bushes deep of that fairway as well, straight ahead. So what happens a lot is people throw shots too straight. If they throw a backhand, go into those bushes, then it's tough. So I mean, it's honestly, I've thrown felons, like something like a kiwi or like a huya forehand, something like that. If you're playing for par, you can throw something slower like a Kia and just try to get up the gap with the forehand. For a lefty, I feel like I wasn't going to be surprised that you actually kind of did like this hole because the tee shot is a good lefty tee shot. But to actually get to the basket, like I said, I don't think anybody threed it that day that we played. I played this one last. And I mean, that's a field with some people that play there a lot and the pros that are pretty good. And not getting a 3 on a hole that's 300 feet.
It doesn't feel good, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I mean, take note. If you do not get 100 feet off this tee, a 4 is going to be really good.
That's true. Yeah.
That gap is pretty small, and that stuff on the right side. If you get on that right side, it's going to be impossible to get there without taking a 4, even to the short basket.
Oh, I agree. Yeah. I mean, it's going to be a thumber if you get down on that right side or something silly. You know what I mean? Forehand roller, a thumber, some kind of shot like that. I would dare say, correct me if you think I'm wrong on this, but I think for a lefty backhand, there's absolutely no way to this hole unless you're hitting a 45, 50-foot putt.
The only possible thing I could see you getting anywhere closer than that would be that it would be a really well-controlled understable disc thrown on a lot of hyzer. That like once it kind of bent around that initial part of the fairway, I waved at the camera just then, and then it starts to flip up and just barely misses that back tree before you get to the baskets, and then somehow gets on that side hill. But you're talking about like a pretty high level shot if you're asking me to actually get there. Like, I would like to know what Melton throws.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'll say this: anytime I watch him out on coverage, and this could be just because he's a lot better at sidearm than me, but it feels like anytime he throws sidearm, I would throw backhand on that hole, and then vice versa. He's throwing backhand, I would throw sidearm, and I rarely throw sidearm, but I do remember several occasions where I'm like, it seems like the way he approaches the hole. Of course, he's pro, and I'm low level am, so it's obviously going to be different. But just even the play of the hole, it feels like we look at them completely different. I've always been kind of surprised by that because you think that with his arm, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I just feel like the lefty. I'll say this on this one, like you're saying, you probably have 2 to 3 feet of accuracy that you have to hit to get that on that side, or the other option would just be to blast the backhand and just hope it gets through everything down there on the end.
Yeah, I mean
it's
a very weird shaped hole that it's just I don't know. I just don't know how I exactly feel about it. It's one of those holes that I was just like, it's not. I just don't really enjoy playing that one that much. So I don't know. It's kind of weird for me.
I understand that. Oh, Uncle Smooth.
I was about to say, look who just popped in here.
What's up, Jerry? We're talking about wing deer here, Jerry. So this one, I don't know. I guess I will go ahead and just for the sake of talking about the gray baskets, I'll go back and say hole 12 will remain my favorite for now, just because you reminded me of that long pin.
Yeah.
But I that doesn't change the fact that I love the layout of this hole because it's straight up position shot, and I absolutely love that. When it's like I see what you're talking about, it being a par 3 and that being played as a par 3, but it's like a par 3 that you land here and then you have a little chip up and then putt. You know what I mean? Because I'm not one of those that thinks that a par 3, okay, how do I say this right? I don't think a hole necessarily has to be 2 for it to be a par 3. Does that make sense?
No, it can be very hard par 3. I just think it's like, I just don't like whenever it's almost impossible for a disc to actually fly the flight of a path.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah.
Like, if you're not, like, I don't know if there's a shot that I couldn't throw. Like, I don't know. Like, I almost feel like if you kept the initial way the fairway is and then just cut more of those bushes out that followed that backside of the fairway, to where like a forehand hyzer, instead of it being a super dumpy one that had a little bit more glide and could push a little bit straighter, then you could get in the circle, I think, for that one, just like removing all that. But at the same time, once you do that, you make the shorter hole easier.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah.
So it depends on what you want your actual course to be. Like if you want the long pin to be one that's played more often, or if it's just there to be kind of like an extra hole. Because that's what happens. If you start adding long positions in and stuff like that, inevitably you're going to make the shorter ones at some point somehow easier, whether you're clearing out stuff that was there as an obstruction before, because if you don't have a line. And right. I think that's what this one just kind of feels like. To me, is it's just like if they had a separate backside fairway for this one that you could actually have a disc fly to the basket to, then it'd be okay. But it's just already such a hard shot to get to the short basket. It's super hard.
It definitely is.
Like, I mean, I've forwarded that one plenty of times, and it's like I said, it's shorter. It's a shorter hole, so yeah, I don't think a par 3 necessarily has to be able to be 2'd. I just think it's kind of weird. Just whenever it's a weird shape, whenever it's a weird shape, it's funny to me. I don't know if there's a thumber gap over top or not from the tee. I don't know. I don't have that kind of thing.
Yeah. I could see what you mean about that. I mean, it'd have to be a high-level player's thumber if they did it, you know. Ooh, Donna Barr in the comments
Yeah,
here said,
well,
I see
but
you
it's
guys are
Tim.
talking about 13. Oh,
Yeah,
is it
we
Tim?
are. Yeah, he
Oh,
said,
it's
by the
oh,
way, this is Tim.
I was almost there, yeah. What's
Yeah,
up,
we
Tim?
are.
Yeah, exactly.
Now,
So
he
this
has
I
some
was,
insight on this course for sure.
he does. I remember Tim maybe can correct me in the comments here, but I'm pretty sure before 2017 USWDGC, I think Tim told me this is the one where they actually poured the tee pad in the wrong place. Or like he was getting up there
this one
to
is?
it. I think so. If I could be wrong, he may correct me in the comments and be like, "You're silly, Josh." But I'm pretty sure this is the one because, you remember I said I helped him whenever USWDGC was coming around the area. But while we wait for that, I'll go ahead and see if I can show you the old hole 13 here. Are you ready for this?
Yeah, I've never seen it, so I want to see it.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
So here's the old hole 13's tee.
Now, is this down and to the left if you're walking from 12?
So, okay, the best way I know to tell you, think of hole 13's current tee pad, and I think it's like back, if you go back down towards hole 12, I think it's down there, like kind of to the right of the current hole 13's tee pad. And it was almost so you see this hill like right above Riley's head in the distance up there?
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, that's the hill. Like you're coming in, let me take the picture away to show you here. So like here's the current hole, and you're coming in this way up the hill the other side. So it almost played straight and then up, down, over the hill like that. Does that make sense?
Oh, okay. All I remember is people saying that basically you just had to throw over top of the trees.
That's pretty much what you had to do, and it was kind of the same on the old hole 14, which I'll show you that when we get there too. I have a picture of that. But.
Oh, that hole's still there. I don't know.
Oh, is it?
That like there's a hole up in the ceiling. I've seen people throw spike hyzers over. Oh, he commented back. Let's see.
Okay, let's see what he says here.
Ah.
It's not showing up for me yet.
That's exactly what I was saying.
Is it?
Yeah, the Mach 3 is not permanent long design. It's just filling the slot for now. I plan on cleaning out the scrub on the left to make an actual fairway. Hole 14 was the tee that was poured in the wrong place. So that's like I said. So like I said, that stuff on the left side of the fairway, that like bushy stuff and junk. If there was a fairway there, then I would be fine with that position. It would actually have a shape to it. So it seems like that's what the plan is, and it might not even. It sounds like the basket might still go to a different. I don't know if he's going to move the basket or if he's just meaning the actual fairway design is not meant to be that fairway. Because it said permanent long design. It doesn't say placement, really.
Okay, yeah.
So it might just be the fairway.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, man. I just saw that base run hopping off. Felix, thanks for tuning in and talking to us, man. If you ever want to get on here and talk with us, we are more than happy to have you on. So thanks for tuning in. Have a good night.
You just put his next comment back up, though. I think it's funny.
Let's see. Whose is it?
Tim Donna.
It still won't be a good hole. I personally, Tim, I know you're just kind of tuning in after we finished talking about this hole, but I actually love hole 13. It's so tricky. It's, to me, definitely a placement shot, being a lefty. And I love doing that little hyzer flip that flips up, turns over a little bit, and then fades back out towards the basket. I love that kind of shot. So I am interested to see what happens with that hole in the future, though. And Jerry says he likes that one as well. So maybe it's just a lefty hole. Maybe that's what we're discovering today.
Maybe. Does Melton like it? Maybe Tim knows that answer.
I don't know. He might. All right. So this hole, I'm going to give it a thumbs up. I really do like this hole. What about yourself, Josh?
Well, I mean, do I need to?
I think we all kind of do. So
That's what I
Tim
figured.
says he thinks a short pin at the crest of the hill would be better. That'd be kind of fun, but it'd be kind of, I see, it'd be kind of like hole, what was it, 11, where we said the basket's kind of, no, it's 12, where the basket's almost in the way for the.
Oh yeah, I mean, whenever
Depending on
you're
what it
gonna run
cuts.
into that, yeah. Unless you just push it deep, like just deep enough past the crest to where then you're in that like with that bushy area that he's talking about. Just
Mm-hmm.
still cut out that bushy area where the fairway would be,
Mm-hmm.
and then have it off the fairway so it wouldn't be like that in the way. Have its own little pin, like bubble or something.
Right, yeah. Charlie
Of
says
course,
it's
Charlie
actually a
loves it.
great. We just nipped that at the same exact time there. All right. If you don't have anything else about hole 13, then I guess we can move on to hole 14. Do you have any final statements before we go to the next one?
No, I'm good on it. I'm good.
All right. So we'll go ahead and show up hole number 14 here with Mr. Jason Ferguson on the tee there. You can see hole 14, UDisc has it as 253 feet. Still waiting on the picture to pop up for me. I apologize
It's
for the
up.
lag on my end. Okay. So hole 14, this is another one of my favorite holes on the course. This is just that, in my opinion, I talked about one of the holes on the front now, and I can't remember which one it was, but this is just, to me, a traditional disc golf hole. Like the gap's right there. You're looking right at it. For the viewers that are kind of listening here and tuning in, you basically just want to hit straight down the gap in the middle that you see, and you see a couple trees right down there in the middle on the end. Well, the basket's kind of right behind those, approximately 253 feet.
Yeah, I mean you can barely see it, and this one is kind of confusing too because from what I understand, the white basket's the only basket.
Yeah, I believe so. Tim may be able to tell us in the comments differently, but unless the gray one's still there, the tricky one, which we'll get to later. I'll do once again like we did on hole 13, and we'll talk about this hole before we get to the old tee pad there. Well, it's the same tee pad, but I'll show you. But yeah, this one to me is one of those holes where lefty or righty. Correct me if I'm wrong, Josh, for you, but this is basically a hyzer flip hole for almost anybody. Just something that I'm aiming at the right side on a hyzer flip with something under stable aim to flip up, and I feel like a righty. It looks like what Jason's doing here on the T2 is he's probably aiming a little bit of hyzer on the left side there, letting it flip up and ride straight. And to me, this could be a potential ace run hole as well.
Yeah, I mean, I really do like this hole. It's for me, it's a putter every time. It's just your not. I don't know. I want to say traditional, but it's just your straightforward tunnel shot. And this is probably one of my favorite holes on the course. I love like a straight tee shot. This one has enough trickiness to it to where it's got the slanted hillside. So there is a play I've seen people do before. So up to the gap where that sun was shining bright into the camera is a hole in the canopy up there that has opened up over the years from what I understand. And I've seen people that just don't like throwing tunnel shots that have big arms just take a driver and just rip it out that gap and spike it right into the hillside. The problem is with that is if it's not muddy, you might just hit and roll down to the bottom. But I've seen people jam them into the ground and have putts and stuff. But I go straight up just like a putter. This is just one of my favorite holes. I love a hyzer flip that just goes straight, and if you throw that, you've got a really good shot at getting a two. I've thrown an envy at it before. I can throw a Takapoo. Anything that it's just going to flip up and go straight. It's my bread and butter is what I love. That's my favorite shot.
Right. Yeah, and that's I mean, I don't want to talk too much about it because I'm pretty much going to mimic exactly what you said, just for the lefty. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
The only thing, like you said, would be you have to hit the line, and you don't want it to come down too much at an angle. And I see that's why you're choosing the putters, because it's going to sit flat. Where if you go higher speed, you're likely to stand up, and the rollaway is the real deal on this hole.
Yep.
You can definitely roll down, and you could honestly end up in the fairway of hole 15 down there if you play this one incorrectly. You know what I mean? So, and another thing that I will say I really like about this hole is the left side and the right side. It is wooded on both sides, but it's not like where are there two? Like 10 and 12 both had really thick stuff. So if you do end up on that other side, it's probably going to be a shot that you're not that used to, but you're going to have a way out more so than what you would on those other ones, instead of just having to potentially just pitch out. And you know what I mean?
Yeah, a lot of the woods surrounding this one. Now, if you get deep enough on the left side or behind the basket, it is like bushy, but the woods on your right side where it slants down is almost like thick but cleared woods, if it makes sense. Like there's not a lot of undergrowth. It's just like a bunch of trees sticking up. You can like you said, you can get out, but if you're in a certain spot, you're gonna have to miss like 30 trees to get there, and they're all gonna be spaced like weirdly. But that's where most people get in trouble on this one, is just if you miss the initial gap, which is I think maybe maybe 60 to 80 feet or something off the tee. I can't remember exactly. But for me, like, the perfect shot almost kind of hugs that left side, so you have to flirt with throwing a bad shot. For me, because I throw a putter on hyzer, so I want my hyzer flip to just be missing those left trees by like a foot or two. I don't want them to be too center, because if it flips up too much, I'm going to hit the right side tree at the end and drop short. So I'm wanting it to flip up and go straight. So I mean, like I said, this is one of my favorite holes. I really like wooded holes, and I like really nice just tunnel shots. I think it just looks nice.
Tim says here, the new tee was supposed to be about 50 feet further back, eliminating the over-the-top hyzer. That makes sense.
That would make that hole a lot harder too, and it would probably make me throw. I don't know. I might still be able to throw a putter at it, but I'd be coming up shorter. But I would probably go mid at that point. It would be cool to see it. Because I've never really
I'll say another thing. I've not either, honestly. I never even thought to look back on that one. But it seems like it makes sense because it would play parallel to hole number 15. And it seems like you probably have a pretty good amount of distance back there to move back. But another thing about this hole is the gap is so small, and I'm sure you could see it from the picture there, but the gap is so small that there's potential to hit a tree on the right side and end up in the left side woods, and then vice versa for the lefty. If you throw something too fast, I could hit the left side trees and skip down and be in the right side.
Oh yeah, it's extremely common. I've seen it on plenty of cards in tournaments before, where you throw the disc into the left side as far as it can go, and then all of a sudden you just shoots back across the fairway and goes into the woods about 80 feet right, and you're like, what the heck just happened? And then somebody on the other fairway's looking at you like, hey man, about hit me. Well, yeah, wasn't on purpose.
I said potential, but maybe I should have said it is going to happen.
I mean, I've seen it almost every time I've played. I don't know if I've ever played that hole, maybe once or so, where everybody on the tee went through the gap.
Yeah, it's tricky.
I think it's probably like a 15-foot wide gap, probably most of the way. and then it widens out near the basket a little bit, but it has guardian trees. So here the thing with it is, I always try to plan to hit my putter hard, and just hope that I don't hit one of those guardian trees right next to the basket, and I want to go past them so I don't have to putt around them, because there's some tough ones if you get in the right spot to where you can't really throw a comfortable putt.
Agreed. So I guess the general thoughts on this one, both of us are going thumbs up. We both said it's one of our favorite ones on this one. But before we move on to hole 14, I'll go ahead and show you, Josh, the old hole 14. That's the same tee pad, but I'm going to throw it up here and show you. The basket was to the left up there, and this one was pretty much just throw a big, huge righty hyzer over all the trees and land up to the left there. So you see how the fairway, this is actually the same spot.
So this is the same tee?
Same tee. If I'm not mistaken, maybe Tim will tell us differently there, but you see this tee pad, I'll switch it back here. But you see the T sign over there to the left?
Yep.
Now watch me click over to this other one. See the T sign there?
Yeah.
So they extended the T pad and made it bigger, but if I'm not mistaken, this is the same exact spot.
Click it back one more time.
Okay.
Okay, so I think I see what's happened. Do it one more time. Yep.
Okay.
Nope. Hello.
Wrong one. There we go.
There.
And they click on.
And we're on us now.
Okay, I've messed up here. I've got this lag here. Okay,
it's okay.
Now is it showing?
I could see it. No. Not right. Not for me. Showing? Not for me.
Okay, well, sorry about that.
No, I can see it because you can see there's like the wood steps. I could see where it was. I guess it was, if they poured a new tee pad, it looked like they just kind of changed the angle.
Right, yeah. Maybe that could be, yeah. So basically on the old one, did it pop up that picture now?
This is the one that's here now, yeah.
The new one. Okay.
Yeah.
And now I'll click back to the other one that should have worked, right? Same tee. Okay, Tim confirmed.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
These technical difficulties are killing me here, but yeah.
It's just fun for me to sit there and look at it and try to figure out like how it was designed. That's what I was kind of looking at, because I'm trying to learn myself as well more and more. So I like looking at redesigned holes and stuff.
Well, I don't know if you noticed. Okay, it should be showing it now, correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so old ponytail me here. As you can see, what am I doing off the tee here, Josh?
You are throwing a righty backhand.
Almost. So that kind of shows you how this hole played. If I'm throwing a forehand and I'm basically trying to throw towards that gap right in the middle of the top and get over that stuff and as far left as possible and uphill up there. So that's kind of how that hole played. It was basically just a big, huge hyzer to spike up over the top and land on the hill and hopefully not roll down. So
okay,
very different. Same tee, but very, very different hole.
Yeah.
Did not necessarily like the older hole, and I think Tim did an outstanding job with the new layout here. So Tim and others, I'm not sure exactly who all had a hand in that, but I think they did a great job.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, that's one of my favorite holes now, and I just think a nice tunnel shot is fun. It can be angering to play, but I like a challenging tunnel shot. I mean, it's like Sugar Hollow having those two tunnel shots there.
Mm-hmm.
They're punishing. Yep. They're punishing, but there's a direct line, and I just like that shot. I think it's super satisfying to be able to throw something and it just goes straight, right where you threw it. I just like that. So, yeah, I enjoy that design.
I agree. So Tim, just before we move to the next one, we'll just read this off. It says he went to check out the new forms before they pour the tees. The next morning, 14 was in the same place, so I went out at 6:45 in the morning. they're supposed to pour it to stop them, and they had already had it poured. I remember that, Tim. We were talking about that earlier because I'm not sure if you remember, but you and I were out there with Marty McFly. Now, I mentioned how you can see us on the little gimbal walkthrough that Marty did on hole number 10, I believe it was. So, nothing else really about hole 14 unless you got anything, Josh.
No, I'm good on it. It's a good one. I like it.
It is very good. One of my favorites on the course for sure. So I'll go ahead and switch it. As you can see here, we've got hole number 15. It says 344 feet.
That's 16.
I can't remember. That is hole 16. So as you can see here, I've got hole number 15 up now, correct?
Yep, you're testing me.
Yeah.
Oh, and you can see the woods that we were talking about right there on the right side of you.
Okay.
That's that fairway. If you look at that light back there on the right side of the screen under the whole discussion logo, that is the initial part of the fairway for 14. So there's what you can expect if you get that far and all those trees, how I was talking about, just randomly spaced trees that can be obstructive.
Exactly. So this one, if I'm not mistaken, the short basket is, or the gray basket, is it the long one down straight through the middle?
No, it is actually the short one. That's the one that you can barely see above the left side of your head is the white basket out in the open.
Okay. All right. So we're talking about the gray one, which is in the woods on the right. It says 344 feet, which that almost feels like the white basket's distance to me.
The white basket's actually like really close to 400.
Okay. All right. So then this one is a little more tricky than I think in my head when I get up to the tee pad then. So once again, just like hole 14, this is a tunnel you've got to hit, just an old-fashioned golf hole. Go down the middle. On this one, I'm playing hyzer flip. This is an older video here. It looks to me like I've got that purple and white Vanish in my hand, fairway driver, which Tim Barr should have now. I told someone to give it to him, so hopefully he has it. But this is another one. I would almost say play this one exactly the same as you play hole 14, but just with a faster speed disc. What do you think, Josh?
For me, I play this one quite a bit different, honestly.
Okay.
So
all right.
the picture that you had up, there's a tree to the right or to the left of your head. There's like a little skinny tree in the fairway over your shoulder there. Once you get to that tree, the basket's immediately to the right and into those trees, and there's like the trees jutting out just from behind your head. You have to go right behind them. I throw a hard forehand with an overstable disc.
Oh, okay.
I've thrown like a Felon. I could probably do like a Huya or something now. Anything, I've seen people throw Firebirds and stuff. The main thing is the way I throw that shot is like a flex forehand at it, kind of. But like you said, I think it's in that 320 to 340 feet range. So if you throw something to 320 and it goes back to the right there, you should have a 20-foot putt or so at least.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, you just want to fly the fairway at least 300 feet. You don't want to go in early because you are not going to have a shot.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I go, like I said, I go like a forehand. Sometimes I might even go driver depending on how my forehand's feeling that day. I might just not go all out and just try to just more finesse of overstable driver instead of forcing over like a super beefy fairway. But that's my play in general. So I might try, if I play again here at some point, I might try Kotare to see how it flies, because I know I'm not throwing them much further than maybe 320 or 330 or something. So it would fit that shape probably.
Mm-hmm. I feel like that's kind of similar to what I'm doing as the lefty. Is I'm just pretty much hyzer flipping something. I would say probably maybe one of the mint green Pekka's first run, the more stable ones, which I just realized I didn't let you throw yesterday.
I told Stelly that.
Yeah, I forgot. My bad.
He was sitting there. He's sending me pictures of some, and he was like, "Have you ever thrown one?" I was like, "No." Baysinger was actually telling me he was going to let me throw them, and then he didn't let me, and I forgot.
Yeah, I definitely forgot, but I'm going to go with something like that, something that I can flip over if I throw it hard enough, but then it's going to flip up and get us closer to the left side, and then get that fade back towards the right side without skipping into the woods. Because you definitely, like you said, you definitely don't want to skip far into the right side there, because it's just jet, or the left side for that matter. Either of those sides you don't really want to be on.
If you're going to make a mistake on this one, going somewhere on the left is going to be the better mistake, because you can still have an angle to the basket. If you go in early right, it's going to be extremely hard to get to the basket unless you make a huge putt, probably. So, agreed. I mean, probably turning something over a little too much is better, but the main thing for me is you need to fly the fairway 300 feet before it dumps out at all. If I was throwing backhand like you were, then I would probably be throwing something more like neutral to stable instead of a beefy. But where I'm throwing forehand, I'm wanting it to just go the 300, 310 or something like that, and then just go into the ground and just skip or something. Yeah, like Tim just said in the comments, he said, so tough for a righty that can't forehand. So I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's if you got a backhand base, if that's all you've got, you've basically got to throw your straightest 320-foot shot or so, and then probably make like a 35 or 40-foot putt to get the two, because it's that those woods just push out enough on the right side in your way to where to actually get a backhand to bend around it is. It would be pretty hard. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I would say it's a pretty daggone hard shot to execute.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely a high-level shot for sure.
He said Grubb throws a backhand roller, which I could see. As long as you don't, accidentally throw it into the left side woods, I could see that. Like something that's flippy that turns over really quick. I could see that being a work if you don't have a forehand. That could be risky still, because rollers are always... You never know if you're going to hit the stick on the ground or the water bottle somebody dropped out of their bag.
That's true. They're getting a stroke. I'll tell you that right now. They're getting a stroke if they drop the water bottle here.
Listen, I forgot to tell you another reason why I don't like 13 that much. I forgot. Just to go back, you know where the initial part of the fairway on 13, it slants down to the right? It was back when I still had a cart. I was pushing my cart in front of me, and I hit a rock, and one of my water bottles jumped out. This is in the tournament, and I wasn't looking down at it. I was talking to somebody, so I stepped right on the water bottle. My feet shot out from under me, and I fell right down on the ground. Right while somebody was throwing, and they were like, what in the world? I was like, I just got sabotaged by my own cart. Stepped on my own water bottle.
For that.
Yeah. I thought I was going to die, and then I stepped straight up to my disc, and I just threw my putter down, and they looked at me and they were like, that's the fastest I've ever seen you putt. And I was like, my decision was made when I hit the ground. I'm laying up.
Oh, that's funny.
But back to hole 15. Yeah, back 15.
Yeah, 15. So I don't really have a whole lot more about this hole. I kind of want to, next time I go there, kind of try the lefty backhand roller, because I feel like if I could get something that's not too flippy and just get it to kind of cut at the very end, it might be able to get over there too, if that makes sense.
Yeah, a roller that just doesn't actually ever fully straighten
Flip
out.
up.
Like
Right,
it just starts to act like it's going to, and then almost like a failed roller.
Pretty much. I want to throw the worst roller possible on this hole.
that would be hitting the trees on the right side and bouncing back to the left side of the tee pad.
Oh, all right. Well, so this one I'm also giving a thumbs up. This is a very good hole.
Yeah, I do. I like this hole. I think it's fair, and it is a different shot. I mean, granted, 13 generally is a forehand no matter what for me, but it's not one that I'm ever looking at and going, this is a very gettable hole. As to 15, as long as I execute the forehand correctly, I should give myself a putt. So if I mess this hole up, it's because I threw a bad shot off the tee.
Yeah.
Because I've thrown plenty of great shots on 13 and just get there and I'm like 50 or 60 feet short because it jams into that dirt on the hill. Just doesn't go anywhere. So, I mean, it's one of those holes where I'm like, if I execute the shot, I should have a look at a 2. So I like this one, and like I said, it's one of the first probably or second forehands I've thrown on the day in general. So it just changes up the mix of the course.
This is one of those holes that exactly what you're saying. This definitely rewards the good shot. Yeah. Some of the other holes that we've talked about, you could have a good shot and still get a little kick at the last, like 14, for instance. You could kick 14. You could kick one of those last few trees, even though you had nearly the perfect shot, and then be in a tricky spot. But this one right here, you're almost guaranteed a good life as long as you get, like you said, that 300 feet.
Yeah, I mean, 14, like you said, I mean, you can technically really throw the perfect shot down 14's fairway if you hit dead center and hit the one tree that's just in the right center of the thing, and either kick down and have no putt or kick down and roll 50 feet. So that would be like the only downside to that hole, is that you've got those guardian trees that can cause some rollaways. So this one is, like you said, it's got a fair enough fairway. Like it looks small when you're standing there, but it's probably, aside from the next hole, one of the biggest fairways on the course. One of them, not the biggest, but it is one of the biggest fairways. So
no, I agree with that for sure. Well, I don't have anything else about this one, so I guess we can move on to hole number 16 here. As you can see, the gray basket on this one is 331 feet, according to UDisc. This is one of the ones that I almost want to say that could almost be a par 4. I know for sure the long basket's a par 4, but this is one of those ones. Honestly, I guess the only reason that keeps this one being a par 3 is that it's mainly open. So as you can see here, for the people viewing there, you can actually see the gray basket out in the distance there. You can see the 3 trees to the left and then the 1 tree to the far right side. If you look to the left of the bushy tree you see on the right side, then you can see the basket right there. It's pretty much a dead straight shot, but I personally think that like a good flex play is good for this one. Myself, I'm taking something like a Kahoo XG, trying to turn it over to the left side, honestly just heading straight towards those 3 trees there, and then hoping to get that flex back and fade right before those, and that's going to leave me. I would say maybe 60 to 80 feet from the pin would be my guess. What do you think about that, Josh?
To note on this hole, it is a pretty significant uphill. It's pretty tough to tell on video, but let's see, the original short position was 100 feet right of the current short basket. That's what Tim just said. I was reading the comment. I've never played that. I like this. I actually like this one, and this is one of the ones like you were talking about earlier. You don't mind to have a par 3 that's not generally one that's 2'd. I actually like this one as a par 3. It probably plays 400 feet, somewhere in there. This is the one where they did the distance contest for the US WDGC all the way up through there during that tournament. So I think I have 2'd this hole once, maybe twice, and I did it in tournament. If I ever 2'd it, it was in tournament, and it is my furthest shot I can throw.
Oh wow! Okay.
In general, what I did was I actually think I have it on video. I can't remember. I had when I was playing, Jimmy's brother caddied for me. The one time I've ever had a caddy, and he had his phone and he recorded it for me, and I took my flippy. It was when I was on Prodigy Street Team, I think. I took my flippy D3 and threw it as high and as hard as I possibly could, and it did like a big flex line and went through between the 2 trees out there, came back out, and I came like within like a foot of hitting the basket.
Oh,
And
wow.
it did like a helicopter thing where I threw it so high that it kind of petered out, and like the basket was sitting here, and it just like went right over top, and it was sitting about 3 feet to the left of the basket. And it's one of my favorite one of my favorite tournament twos I've had in a long time. From that, so
I would say that's a crush.
I mean, it's as far as I've ever thrown, and me knowing, like playing with some of the pros just around here that are locals and stuff, that it's a hole that is very possible for a lot of pros to do. Ben Brown, I don't know. Do you know who Ben Brown is?
Maybe one of those situations where I'd know him if I saw him, but not right off the top.
Really cool guy, by the way. But he's a guy I've played with a lot. I played with him in advance, and then he kind of moved up to pro, and then I stepped up to pro kind of after him a little bit. But dude's got a cannon for both shots. He can sling probably about any shot that there is in disc golf. The dude's got a cannon for it. He can whip a forehand probably like 450 or something. Like, it's insane. His backhand, so you were talking about the deep basket on this one. So you know where the mouth of the gap comes back in, going to the white basket?
Yeah.
When I played with him last time at Sugar Hollow there, his disc was about 80 feet or 100 feet past the basket, the short basket.
Wow.
I played with him at Sugar Hollow at a tournament this year, and he crushed a disc on hole 2 right into the mouth of the gap, going like about to start going towards the basket. So whenever you're in that whole long stretch next to the road on that hole, and then it starts going into the trees where you have to kind of throw over to the right, his disc was sitting in the shadows of that that gap there. It was like 510 feet or something like that. So the dude can crush. So just knowing the potential that people have that I've played with a lot, even some advanced players that have huge arms, Micah Messersmith and them, this is a hole, as long as they throw the right shape, they're going to have a chance at 2 in it. So I think it's a good pro level par 3.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. I'll say this, man. I played this hole. I don't know how many times I played this course, but I never realized, even playing the hole, that it was uphill.
It's extremely uphill. Like,
now, I do know after you get like down towards where the basket is and stuff, it feels like it's a little uphill. But right off the tee, is it uphill right off the tee?
It is. It's just not as aggressive off the tee, but you were still going uphill to the gray basket consistently the whole time.
Wow, that's crazy, because I've never really thought of that. So that kind of makes me wonder, or it kind of keeps in mind why I can't do that hole. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, like here recently, the times I've played it, even my best shots that me and my group have thrown, and a lot of the times, besides like Ben Brown or something crushing one like crazy, like if we don't throw our best distance shot on it, we're falling like 40 feet short sometimes.
Wow.
Or something. Because, I mean, it plays really far, and I mean, that's why I think the long baskets maybe, is it 500 or 600? I think it's only like 500, the long basket, probably 5 something, but it's 2 full throws basically for me to get to the long basket.
Yeah. I don't have the distance for the long one here, but
I could probably get it on
Will
disc real quick.
Rip lock his drive into the trees about 150 feet and then park the second shot in the long position. That's crazy.
Insane. That is a far shot right there.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
I'm going to see if I can find the layout for the main. So hole 16 is 564 feet.
And uphill.
Like I said, like whenever I get in a good position, I'm throwing a distance driver, and sometimes I'm still going distance driver or a fairway driver to get to that basket, because it is, I mean, and the footing, it makes the run-ups a little weird because it slants you a little bit to the left.
Right, yeah.
But that's the thing, is committing to this drive is pretty important.
Oh yeah, for sure.
If you're going for that flex line and you don't commit to it and you would go air out in those trees on the left, I couldn't tell you how many times. I know Tim's probably dealt with this plenty of times. There's people having discs stuck in the top of the trees on the left side.
Oh, I bet.
And leaving them up and having to leave them until the wind blows them out or something. The woods are really thick. It's funny, 14, 15, and 16 play all side by side.
Yeah.
So, like, we were talking about the woods between 14 and 15. Now we're talking about the woods between 15 and 16. And they're all very thick if you get in there early on the left side or the right side. You're going to be lucky to grab your 4 on the short basket if you go into those woods on the left, because it's just a mangled, like a bunch of fingers in some spots to where, like, you just can't get a good shot out.
Right. And also, I want to say also, now that you mentioned that about those, it's like 14, 15, 16, like that. That's kind of one of my pet peeves on course design is when holes go burp, burp, burp. But on this course in particular, like, you don't even notice that. The course is designed so well that you probably never even, if you played this course one time and didn't go back, you would never know that those 3 were just, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you can get really lost, especially if your round is like a very crappy round that day, to where you've been in and out of the bushes, the trees, walking back and forth. You can play through hole 16 and go, I have no idea where I've been, but I hope I get to the car very soon. Just show me how.
Yeah.
To get there, because it is very where the woods are so thick. There's a few times where you are playing next to a fairway and you don't realize what fairway it is.
Right.
Like, this fairway is sandwiched between 15 and 6.
Yeah, the one that's uphill there.
Yeah, so you're at the apex of 6 and playing parallel to 15. And I didn't even realize that until like the first 5 times I think I played this course.
That's funny. That's what I'm saying. Like, I usually hate when courses have that. It's just blah, blah, blah. But you would absolutely never know that if you just played this one time and didn't, like, just take exact notice of where you were walking, you know?
Oh, and Tim said those woods love backhand rollers. And that's a thing, too, is this shows you, like, why it's such a pump. Is a lot. Almost every time I play this hole in a tournament, somebody on my card generally attempts a roller, because it's as far of a shot they can get. Because the air shot is pretty difficult. You have to commit to it, and you almost do have to kind of, you need to throw it high without throwing it nose up. So if you throw a nose up high shot, it's going to stall out and be in trouble. So a lot of people will throw that backhand roller, and like he said, the fairway slants. It's slanting to the left, so if you don't get your roller committed, it's going to roll you straight into those woods, and it's going to be awful.
Yeah.
Now, maybe a lefty backhand roller, if you got really really good at those, to where they just like you said earlier, you were trying to throw almost a cut roller, like a cut roller or something, and then that hillside kind of almost push it. Yeah, it would push it a little bit more. It might be okay, but if you accidentally overturned it, then bad. But yeah,
I'll be buying another one of those.
This is a cool one, because it is one of those holes you're in the woods kind of, but you have the options like that for people to go big or throw a roller or something. I think it's cool to see when people attempt rollers. I just don't throw them that well, so unless I have to. So I'm not throwing a roller on this one. I'm throwing my straightest distance driver. I just go ahead and go distance driver, because might as well. It's just whatever. Yeah. Right now, I probably would attempt potentially that yellow Kahoo XG I let you throw yesterday, because it has a really nice kind of like flip up to turn over and then hyzer back out. But I have thrown the Grace as well. Stelly. It is a challenging course, Stelly. It's really challenging. Is when it comes into effect is when you're not hitting your gaps. It's kind of like how the Ridge is. It's just there's more opportunities for you to have a scoring situation in this one on some holes, because there is a few open holes. that you can just
I,
rip or something and get a putt. But if you get off the fairways in these, it's super easy to take 4s and 5s on this course.
I'm going to step back once again real quick before we move on to the next hole and say that I meant to say this when we were talking about hole 14, but I feel like you in particular like this hole so much, and I do as well, because I feel like hole 14 you could copy and paste and put that at the ridge.
You definitely could.
You know what I mean? It feels very. That's what the ridge feels like to me. Is that this hole 14 kind of
throw some different trees in there and you would have the ridge. It's very, and it's got the elevation on it too, where you've got the hillsides and stuff. So it is very ridge-esque.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say that plays a factor in why I like it. I like really nice wooded fairways. I love, like I said, now that I've got the ridge here and 100% wooded, I want to play some other ones that are only wooded courses just to compare to what it's like. Because I've never played another course that's 100% wooded. So I hear Blacksburg has some good ones. So I want to try some of those. But, yeah, I understand your saying that, because it would be a hole that you could throw in on that course and it work.
All right. Well, if that's it, do you have anything else about hole 16 before we move on to 17? Besides, or I'm thumbs up in it.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it some thumbs up. It's different than most
of the holes, but it's still a great hole.
Yeah, and it's good to have a little bit of variety too, because I've said that. Well, I'm gonna ramble a little bit more too. I've said that I think disc golf needs to be in that direction, to where like you have some shots that are somewhat open, and then some that are wooded. No matter what, I don't like having just open course and just wooded. I like it to where there is an advantage to having one skill, and then the next hole another skill has an advantage, so that you're having to execute on different levels of your skill. So
yeah, I could not agree more.
Yeah, you need one. Hey, what's your rabbit in there searching on the internet? Sounds like they're tapping on the keyboard.
It's like, I don't know. Siri just popped up and said carrots near me. I don't know what's going on.
Oh, it's like my Siri in my bag.
Yeah.
Thing won't stop going off.
I thought there was a woman speaking in my ear with his bag yesterday. I was like, all right, so we'll move on. Go ahead and go on to hole number 17. This is 229 feet, and the gray basket on this one is pretty much just dead straight down at the bottom of the hill there. So as you can see, there is a right side gap, but that right side gap that you're looking at, don't pay attention to that too much on this, because that's going to the white basket. So I guess you would say that the gray basket is just kind of straight. If you can see the logo on his back there, then I would say it'd be like even with that, but downhill a little bit. Wouldn't you agree, Josh?
It would be pretty close to that. Maybe that tree that's just to the left of his head, maybe it's just slightly left of that tree. I feel like that's one of the gaps that are risky, but you can attempt to throw. But it's not like usually highly advised unless you're in a crunch situation. But I mean, honestly, there's a clear way to park this hole and a clear way to mess it up. So.
Right. I definitely agree with that. This one, I don't think it really favors lefty or righty. I feel like it's just pretty much going to be either like a little flex shot or a flip up with a little bit of turnover, and just pretty much you just want to finish pretty much straight but downhill off the tee. So I think almost anybody's going to putter on this one. Would you agree?
Yeah, it depends on your preference, or like for me, whenever I'm attempting one of these holes like that, I feed off of how I've played that day. So this is very downhill. So that right gap, like you were saying, above his orange disc, that is the gap I'm going every single time. And
wow.
the right gap. I'm playing the right gap, and it's either if I've been throwing putters super well that day, then I might just go low power hyzer putter. But generally, what I do is I'll take something like a Kia. I've thrown the yarn before, and what I do is I just kind of commit to an okay power. I can't tell you an exact power. My body's kind of on feel whenever I'm throwing those sometimes. And it's just like I try to throw to what I feel like is going to be the right the right throw. It's kind of hard to explain going downhill, but I throw something that has very low glide sometimes on those shots, and just kind of throw it kind of a little bit of an slight anti-flex and let it just dump out and die. I don't put a lot of spin on the disc. I don't put a ton of spin and just rely on it to go left and skip some, because I don't want something to actually accidentally get jerky. I relate to tournaments a lot because a lot of times you have nerves, and sometimes you might try to do touchy on something and just put a good whip on it, and then you've spun it and it goes about 100 feet deep or something. So sometimes whenever I'm getting down to the wire, I will rely on that overstable disc to take the glide out. So in general, I've thrown A3s, A2s, yarns, Kia, something like that that's going to eliminate the glide if I mess up a little bit. So I throw that, and I just play kind of like a hyzer release skip down that hill to the left.
So you're letting the hill do the work mostly, the hill and the fade of the disc pretty much.
Yeah, I just try not, because I've seen so many people go so deep on that hole.
Right.
Because it's not like the most insane downhill shot, but it is downhill enough to where you throw it. Because a part of this shot too is you can't throw it crazy high. You kind of have to flirt with throwing it too low and then letting it kind of just push over to the left. So, I feel like the easiest way to do that is just to hang something out down that right side gap and then just let the no glide take effect and try to get a skip towards the basket. Because it's pretty safe on that left side.
Yeah, I agree. I can't remember what I did last time we played that. I want to say I took a Tui and just did hyzer flip down the middle and practically just aimed at that tree that you saw above Jason's head there, and then let the Tui flip up there and then just glide straight down the hill.
Yeah, honestly, if you could trust it enough, because that's honestly a complete opposite of how I would play, because I'm looking for no glide and the Tui's a maximum glide.
It is glide, yeah.
But because all I'm doing is trying to eliminate a mistake whenever I'm doing that.
See what you mean, yeah.
I'm trying to eliminate me accidentally getting something that glides too much, even if I hit the gap, and then end up still in trouble because I hit the gap and it had too much glide. So I could see you actually being able to throw a Kia up that right side gap forehand.
That's what I was wondering.
Like a standstill, because it won't take a lot of power. It'd just be something that you could almost stand still, kind of wrist flick, and as long as it travels probably 100 feet or so, you're probably going to miss most of the trees and have at least a putt or an easy approach, I would say.
One thing I've never thought about on this hole that I just thought about just now, and it may be me speaking with you, because I feel like you really helped me with thinking the you don't have to get all the way there if you're going to putt. So if even if I leave it, say I do that forehand and come up 40 feet short, with that downhill, that putt's going to be 35 feet.
Yeah, and 30, you can run it however you want. And a lot of times, too, you will almost probably get pin high unless you just absolutely cut it off super soon. You'll almost get pin high. Yeah, you'll probably get pin high and almost have a level putt. You might fall down to the right or something. But this is one of those holes that's almost I throw almost the same shot for the other basket, but with a forehand. So I do the same thing for a forehand. I throw the same gap. It's just the other basket I'm throwing a forehand instead of a backhand. So I'm playing them the same. It's just throwing a different shot. So, it would be interesting to see if you could figure that out, because again, I go the right gap because it's the widest open gap that I can get the furthest down the fairway if I hit the gap.
Mm-hmm.
If you throw
I
that
will
other
say,
gap, you could like hit really early and be in trouble.
true. I'll say also about this hole. This is one of the few real. So it's really short. Plus, it being downhill makes it play even shorter.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of the very few holes that's so short, but still has so many different options. Like you step on this tee, and you're like, okay, do I want to do this side? Do I want to do this side? Do I want to do down the middle? Like there's so many different ways to attack this hole, and that's why I think this is such a good hole.
I mean, there is. I mean, even I've seen people throw like thumbers. At that gap that you were talking about, I've seen people throw thumbers at that gap because it's another one of those shots that kind of eliminates glide itself. You throw something that just flips fast, and it just comes straight down. I honestly would like to go play this course casually because, like I said, this is another one of those courses I don't play very often, not in tournament, and I would almost just want to see how far I could putt off the tee.
Oh yeah, I could see that working too. Yeah.
Because I putt like at Warriors. I putt off the tee of 15. I putt off the tee of what's the hole that Dickerson aced on your channel? The two in a row. The one next to the railroad tracks.
22.
No, it's got to be deeper than that, right? Like 25 or something. 24.
Something like yeah. I'm not sure.
It's the one that's going right down.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Yeah.
I putt off of that tee.
Do you? Okay.
Tim said it's 25. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, Mungo said he was asking if you could see the tee again, but.
Oh yeah, I can hear. Give me a second. I'll throw it up while I'm asking here, Tim. He says 17 and 18 are John Winery and Jerry Harmon.
Yes, I've heard. I didn't know that name. I didn't know who John Winery really, but
John Winery. He's the guy who had Fossil Hill.
Yeah,
he designed Fossil Hill course. That's what I wanted to ask. Did that picture go up there?
It's hole 18 though.
Oh, oops, wrong one. All right, see if it went up here.
That's it. Yeah. So okay. Mungo, he's throwing like to the white basket on that one, but the gap he's throwing is the one I'm talking about on the right above his orange disc, and the basket, like Baysinger said, would be kind of close to like his. Between his like left shoulder and head kind of area down, and it's downhill. It's pretty downhill. So
yeah, for sure. I was gonna ask Tim, is there a chance that you and I could go up to Fossil Hill property and film something there? Because I never got to play Fossil Hill before it closed down. I know that it's closed, but what are the odds of you taking a guy like me out there and seeing if we can take a practice basket and play some of those holes? Because I would love to get a chance. I've heard so much about that course and never got to play it. So, and Josh Delp, I see him staring at me.
I never played it either.
I don't. It may not even be possible, but if
probably
it is, probably not. But if it is, I would love to have Joshua Delp and Joshua Baysinger do that. So, if that's it for hole 17, we can go ahead and give our finals. I think this is a good hole. What do you say?
It just says it would be tough. It's full of cows.
Oh, well,
cow patties.
I don't know whether to say moo or boo. But, so, all right, then hole 17. I'm gonna say thumbs up. It's a fun little hole. I would call it the cutest hole on the course.
The cutest hole. I think it's a good one. I like this one. Kind of where it's at because coming down the stretch, it's one of those holes that somebody is very likely to birdie.
Mm-hmm.
So it gives you a chance to maybe let somebody that's maybe in the lead or something mess up and you catch up real quick. Sometimes it's fun just because a lot of this course is you got to have a pretty good shot in general to get a birdie. So coming down the stretch, if you're on lead cards, you're going to be finishing on the next hole.
Mm-hmm.
So having a hole that it's like I need to birdie this hole, and if the other guy messes up, it's he lost a stroke to us. Like it's one of those holes that you could see easily somebody not to it and somebody to it.
Right. Yeah, for sure. I mean, it like I say cutest, but it is also it has teeth. You know what I mean? It's not a gimme. That's for sure. You have to hit your line for sure. So, any other final thoughts before we go to hole 18?
No, I think it's a good one. We're good.
All right, same here. I agree. All right, so hole 18, the final hole on the course. 18 usually is, sometimes not, but it's 237 feet, and the gray basket is the one that's pretty much straight, maybe a little bit left. It's kind of hard to tee from the It's kind of hard to tell from the angle off the tee here, but if you see those 4 trees on the left side of the fairway there, you kind of want to go to the right of those, and you can see the wall of trees in the back there, right behind those 4 trees. The basket is up and to the left, and I'm not sure if you can actually see it there.
The closest thing I think you would see to getting to it is behind the 4th tree on the left. There's a really skinny, and I think that's a tree that's like really close to the circle of the basket. So I don't even know that you can actually see the basket from here, because it does go up kind of a pretty good amount left, which is what increases the difficulty of this hole because of the ceiling.
So this one for me, I'm going pretty much something like a hyzer flip once again. Most of you know that's my game. I see, honestly, for me, I feel like the play should be forehand for a lefty, but as you know, I'm not comfortable with the forehand, so I'm going hyzer flip, probably with like my one of my most understable discs, and honestly, just aiming towards those trees on the right side there, just before you see the gap there, and letting it flip right there and try and get as far left without getting a cut roll back down, because it does play downhill to the right, or it doesn't play that way. You're wanting to go to the left, but as you can see, the hill goes down to the right there. So I don't want to hit on an angle and get the roll down to the right. So something that's going to hit fairly soft and maybe get a little bit of slide rather to the left there.
Yeah, I could see this one being a pretty tough hole. It's tough in general, I think, but a tough hole for lefties, especially if you don't have a forehand. Because I'm sure like somebody like Melton is going to be slamming a felon or something like that forehand.
Oh yeah,
and just letting that hit up the hillside. The hard part about this one is really to get to the basket, you're going to need skip of some sort.
Yeah.
Because that ceiling, the basket sits a little bit higher, I think, than what you are on the tee, up on that left side hillside. And the way I have to play this one is I have to throw something that's overstable. Sometimes I'll go driver, and sometimes I'll go fairway. It just depends on how they're releasing that day, to be honest. And I could go probably something like a Huya. I might even try the Terra. It has that glide and overstability to it. But I've only probably parked this one or tooted it like maybe 2 or 3 times in a tournament, because even sometimes when I throw the perfect shot and I think it's going to skip to the basket, it'll jam sometimes into the hillside and stick instead of skipping. And I really generally need that skip to get up to the basket for an easy putt. So I mean, like I said, in the comments I commented, I think like the gap is really like somewhere probably between the 15 to 20 foot gap that you have to hit to actually get to the basket. It's wider until you get to those trees. But the ceiling, the trees hang lower than where the basket, like the disc, it needs to fly to actually get in the air to the basket.
Exactly.
So you have to
if I'm not right, yeah. Sorry to interrupt, but it's like, so I feel like where you're talking about it being uphill, it's uphill in the sense that the left side of the fairway is more uphill than the right side of the fairway, and it also plays a little bit uphill. So it might be, honestly, 20 20 to 30 feet uphill
Maybe.
by the time you get to the basket. Just
Yeah.
because both of the, it's kind of weird because I feel like you're teeing more off the right side of the fairway than you would be the left.
Yeah,
Correct?
you are. It's like it's like almost like a racetrack fairway. Like you got that left side high, right side low. So and it bends around kind of the fairway. I talk a lot with my hands, so I block the cameras a lot. So, so yeah, it's like a bank right there, really coming down. And what happens a lot of times is if you throw a shot that's not kind of flexed, because it needs to be kind of like an overstable shot that's almost kind of flexed a little bit, so when it comes out it lands a little bit softer on the edge, so you get that skip. Because I've thrown like stuff like a felon or something, and I'd be like, I hit the gap perfect, and I was like, that's good, but it had too much angle to where, like I said, it dug into the ground. So there's a fine line of getting the right skip to it. But I don't know if maybe at some point, if you had something that was super flippy, you might be able to throw a backhand roller.
I've tried it. I have tried it. The problem with that is turning it and getting it too much, and it goes up into the left side up in there.
Yeah, that could be trouble.
And that, it's definitely is trouble. Because I know for sure last time we played that, I didn't use that as my shot, but I was like, I'm going to try a roller here, and I did, and it's kind of like, I mean, and that's my mistake, you know what I mean? But I definitely feel like a roller would be great for this one because in my mind, I would like to set it down and let it start turning as it gets to those trees rather than before.
Yeah.
And going up into the woods. So
that might be one of those. Oh, I'm sorry. You go ahead.
Yeah, it's fine. I was just saying if I could get it to turn as it gets to those trees, then that would be the perfect roller for me.
Mm-hmm. It would be one of those things that I would look at, because I look at, like, every time I'm thinking about these, I'm thinking about tournament situations. So I'm thinking about, like, if you were in a situation to try to do something. I feel like it would be one of those things that, like, the perfect shape for you might be a roller to get there, but it's not the most advantageous shot for you to throw on the hole.
Right. And it's pretty rooty on that left side as well.
I was thinking that too, because it's kind of rocky and tree roots in the middle of that fairway too. Obviously, I mean, with trees being like 15 to 20 feet apart, you're going to have roots. So it's going to be a risky shot, but say you were in a tournament and you were one stroke behind and the guy just hit a tree, it might be your one shot to try. You never know.
To try and get it to, yeah.
It's just one of those things you might end up with a 4 or 5.
True. Yeah.
So it depends on where it depends on if you're one of the people. It's like I'm okay with getting second, or just try to make them mess up again. Not make them, but rely on them to mess up and you play for par. So it depends on your mindset at that point. So it's one of those. I think it would be a really hard roller, but it might be one of the only ways to get there without a forehand.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
For a lefty.
Yeah. I would like to do a forehand on this one. This is another one that, I mean, I would love to do it, but I know good and well that I'm going to be fading right at those trees, and then I'm going to hit one of those trees, and it's just that you're probably still, I don't know, 90 to 100 feet short at that point, right?
Yeah. I mean, if you don't get through the gap, you're going to be facing the exact same problems and more than likely in a worse position than what you need to be, because if you don't get to those two trees, you're still facing that ceiling, and you're more than likely you're going to be too far right or too far left to actually have a good shot at getting up and down.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I guess that's kind of it for this hole, unless you have anything else. I'll say this is a thumbs up hole for me. It's not going to be one of my favorite ones, but it's a great finishing hole, I think. I think both of these pins are a great finishing hole for this course.
Yeah. I like this one. I like it because I know for a fact it is doable, but it's not a very common one. Like, it's not – it's weird to say. It's not uncommon for somebody to get a 2 on it, but it's not a very common thing that you see just 2s rolling in.
Right, yeah.
So it is a good finishing hole on that because I've 2'd it in a tournament maybe twice, maybe. Like I said, there's a few of these holes out here that I have tooed, but it's only happened like twice, and in tournament, and that's about the only 2 times I've ever tooed it, even playing casual or something too. So not very often, but it is possible, and it's a good finishing hole for that because if the ceiling and everything it can make some separation. This hole you can see some people take 5s on pretty easy.
And we didn't mention a hole. I know we did mention the hill, but we didn't mention how easily that can come into play if you throw something too fast.
Yeah, it definitely can be a problem.
Yeah, if I don't get over on mine enough, if I don't get mine to flip up and I fade out to the bottom, there's a huge pit down there, and then 3's almost off the table at that point if you get down in the pit. Yeah,
if you're in the pit and you're in the wrong part of the pit where it's not like had any type of clearing done, it's going to be hard if you're kind of early right. You're not getting unless you bar a miracle. You are not getting up and down for a par out of that early right side stuff. It's just not going to happen. Pretty much early on either side, really. If you're not if you're not 200 feet off the tee, probably up and down is going to be extremely hard on that position.
I mean, Mother's exactly right here. He says lay up. That's kind of what you're going to have to do if you get in that side.
Yeah, because those right side early, especially on the early right side, is very like bushy and just like vines and stuff hanging down to where like any shot is just going to be subject to hitting about 50 different things within 5 feet.
All right. All right. I guess that's pretty much it. Thumbs up from both of us, right? Yeah. It's a good hole. Great finishing hole. And with that, that's the entire course. That's the gray baskets at Wing Deer. We'll say on the back 9, what are you going to finish as your favorite hole? If you need some time to think.
Just on the back 9?
Yeah.
I'm going to say probably I'm just going to go ahead and stick with 14.
Okay. That's a good one.
I love that hole.
For sure.
I love that hole.
I think mine's, you're going to laugh at me here. You're going to think I'm crazy, but I'm still going to stick with 13.
13.
It's fun to me. Tim Shed's a great show. Thanks, guys. Thank you, Tim, for tuning in. Love to have you here and talk with us sometime if you ever want to come on and talk about some of these courses. So appreciate everything you do in the area. I will 100% be at a couple of your tournaments this year, Tim. Absolutely. So.
Yeah, he's coming to the Ridge.
Probably not the Ridge because I was looking at the dates and 2 of them were the weekends I have the girls, unfortunately. So.
Well, that would just be 2 caddies.
Yeah. I'll let you talk to my kids and sort that out.
Hey, listen, one of them that we might be doing a chili cook-off too so they can eat.
Chili and disc golf does not sound like a good combination.
Tim does it every year and still wears the same pants. It's not they're not messed up.
Oh, that's great. Oh, so yeah, 13's my favorite on the course. Get back. I'm not trying to talk about dirty underpants right now on the podcast. So I've got an idea. See if you like this for the giveaway. As we mentioned at the top of the show, we have 2 more discs to give away. This one here, top of the show, Josh is giving this one away. It is an Atomic Kotaku, or if you want to call it a White Heron, go ahead, whatever.
If you want to get on Baysinger's bad side.
If you don't want to win the giveaway, call it a White Heron. And then I'm giving away this Kahoo. It's a 13-speed distance driver in the Cosmic plastic. So
that's a pretty
the colors are a little. It's not this color. The colors are a little bit off. It's not quite as yellowy as what you see there. It's more like like you spilt cream soda in the bowl. It was weird, but so my idea for the giveaway is for viewers that are watching. We've still got 11 people tuned in, so thanks to you all. But I want you in the comments. You can do it here. We only got a few minutes left here on the live part, but either do it in the live comments here or on the comments after, preferably that, just so it's a little bit easier for us to find it. But I want you to comment. This will require you to watch the front nine video of this as well. But I want you to tell us what are your favorite holes on the front nine and back nine of wing deer.
Ooh.
What do you think, Josh? Do you like that?
That's fine with me. And anybody can do it. Just you go off of what you see in the video. Exactly.
Yeah. Just, and if you want to click through, and I'll make it easier for you. So episode 2 of the whole discussion is I've already made chapters. So if you want to make it quicker, you can actually click to each chapter and see. And I will do that for this episode 3 as well once it's up on YouTube permanently and stuff. So comment. Mother's already got hole 5 and 18. So you have a chance to win either of these discs here, and we will ship those to you if you win. Now, we are going to, just like we did, we want you to visit both of our channels for this as well. So they will be given away next week on Just Hucking Around over on Daddy Delp Disc Golf. So you see this logo, right? Am I pointing the correct way right down here?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
It's the right way for me. So it's like down
right there.
Here. So go over to leave your comments here, and then we will pick which comments we choose to win these discs. So Tim's already commented and said, if I win, donate to a worthy player. Tim, such an incredible person and just a golden person for the area of East Tennessee. I'll just say that. So.
He's golden. Stay golden.
Stay golden, Tim. We appreciate you so much here. All of us do. So,
with the impossible angle, he's talking about. You're talking about Baysinger's favorite hole.
Shh! No tips. They got to look it up. Jerry's hiding off.
He's watching the whole time and had to ask.
That's true. See you, Jerry. Uncle Smooth. Have a good night.
Yeah.
I guess that's pretty much it. Like I said, we'll go ahead and remind everyone at the end here. Brian Gosnell, 9521, won last week's giveaway, and Big Wheel Brewing Company, right?
Yeah, I believe you got that right. I think I said Big Wheel Brewing Company. Let me grab it real quick. Yeah, Big Wheel Brewing Company. So.
Okay, so those two are already won, and make sure you comment your favorite hole. You can comment on this one here and let us know what your favorite 2 holes are on the front nine and back nine. So that's it. Josh, do you have anything else to say before we tune out?
I'm good. We've talked.
We've talked for 2 hours and 17 minutes. So unless anybody wants to talk for 2 more hours, I'm ready to call it quits.
Yeah, buddy.
All right. Well, thank you, Josh, once again for joining me. Everybody, once we close off here, please go over to Daddy Delp Disc Golf and subscribe to him. He's got content with me coming up on his channel, hopefully this coming week, and I've got content with him coming up on my channel this week as well. So thanks to everybody. Josh, thanks again for tuning in, or for joining in.
Yeah, thanks for allowing me on, and all you in the comment are heroes.
Exactly, yes. Thanks so much for all the comments. And thanks to my lovely lady Amanda on the back end for helping me throw comments up. Sorry about the audio issues earlier, but seemed to finish out nicely. So
yeah, my weed eater ran out of gas.
Oh, that's great. And with that, that is the whole discussion number 3. Appreciate everybody for tuning in, and we hope to see you next week over on Daddy Delp Disc Golf. So thanks, everybody.
Peace.